What's up guys? Welcome to AnimeKouhai. If you'd like to help me out, please hit the like button and subscribe to my channel.
At least, it is how I see it. So, are you still willing to work with me?
He wasn't required to share any of this with me, but he did. There was no point in attempting to purposefully irritate us with this. In fact, it would be a very poor strategy. However, if he was going to do this anyway.
Don't be an idiot. You incited the orcs and destroyed our orcish homeland, and I will never forgive you for that. But Sir Rimuru has chosen to work with you, and I have no choice but to accept.
Benimaru is correct. It pains my heart to even consider what happened to everyone in our homeland. I couldn't make myself feel better by doing something to you, though. I won't have any regrets until we have the world Sir Rimuru wants. A world where everyone can live happily.
Hey, don't fool yourself. I'm sure you're attempting to absorb the brunt of the criticism so that we may direct our resentment at you alone. That won't be enough to make our rage go away. It isn't anything minor that might be eased by torturing someone like you.
Yes, just so. As you correctly point out, the only thing that matters is survival of the fittest, and our lack of expertise at the time was primarily to blame. You must have shed a few tears for your own lack of experience. And if you have, I'm sure you can relate to our emotions.
The four of them, Benimaru, Shion, Soe, and Hakuro, hated Laplace and his group, yet they nonetheless swallowed their egos so that we may all battle together. They're just trying to get over the fact that they couldn't forgive Laplace's group for what they did. Both when Geld first joined us and now, I can see how generous these ogres can be at times.
Alright, we still don't forgive you, and I certainly don't fully trust you, but for the time being, we're allies. So let's put aside our differences and unite in this battle, okay?
Yeah, you as well, right? My president and the boss need to be saved. So would you mind helping me out?
Laplace bowed his head very low. For once, he wasn't being aloof as usual. Instead, he was being real. I would permanently lose faith in other people if this were a trick. I wanted to put my trust in him for the time being. Benimaru and the others nodded in agreement when Laplace made his request. I believe that our hearts were touched by his determined gestures toward us all.
Right. The six of us will then go there as planned to rescue Yuki.
That sounds fine. Let's keep that jerk alive so he can apologize to us in person.
There's no denying that Benimaru had motivation. Of course, we're talking about Yuki here. Knowing him, I have a good feeling he could defeat Damrata and come out unscathed. But the actual issue is how to handle Velgrund. But Shion startled me just as I was going to provide some instructions about it.
So, this Kondo dude is the driving force behind everything? Perhaps Clayman was under control as well if he can manipulate someone like Kigali.
We all stopped talking. Benimaru froze in shock, and Laplace could only murmur, "The hell?"
The first secretary makes some fairly intriguing remarks.
Diablo tried to laugh it off as much as he wanted, but he eventually understood there was nothing innately wrong with what she said, possibly because he remembered how things were back then. Hakuro even remarked,
It's possible.
"No, guys, it makes more sense to think that way." Laplace claimed that Yuki had instructed Clayman to keep quiet and avoid disturbance. The entire orc incident was one thing, but Clayman's subsequent spiral into lunacy was in no way what Yuki had in mind for him.
Affirmative. Taking into account the most recent information, I have revised the scenario as follows. Although the subject Clayman displayed some odd conduct, it starts to make sense if he was influenced by Kondo and other individuals. The Empire stood to benefit the most from him, which is the obvious answer.
That's what I'm thinking, too.
So you're saying that because of Kondo's plans, we had to go through that stuff with Clayman?
Shit.
I'll inform Shuna if you don't watch your mouth, Benimaru.
I will. Don't, then, okay?
Ignoring the argument between Benimaru and Shion.
I hate to say this, but Shion is right. I attempted to analyze Clayman's criminal psychology, but something about Clayman's actions seemed ambiguous. Even though he ought to have behaved with more caution, I noticed indications that he was in a rush to move his forces for some reason. At first, I assumed it was just him acting stupid, but if someone else were to step in, it would make sense.
Whoa, the same view is held by Diablo and Raphael. Guess there's no doubting that anymore.
I don't know the truth, but let's assume Kondo controls Clayman and act accordingly. You should be aware that Kondo might attempt to take control of your thoughts if you are matched with him.
Yes, Sir Rimuru.
Although I may be wasting my time by issuing that warning, it is still preferable than remaining silent. In any case, we must keep an eye out for this Kondo guy. He could pose an even bigger threat than Velgrund if we aren't careful. So that we were all ready, I asked everyone to keep Kondo in mind. Let's now review our strategy.
Gabble, I want you and your group to respond to King Gazel's plea for assistance, but don't try to fight Velgrund. She poses a sufficient threat to you and the other leaders, but it is likely that she will slaughter your soldiers.
My lord, that is perfectly plain to me. Even I would never attempt to compete against a true dragon.
No, we can't compete with her.
That seemed to be well enough understood by Gabble and Hakuro. The main goal of sending their reinforcements was to buy us some time so that we could rescue Yuki and then deal with Velgrund on our own.
Should we, however, leave them to that ritual?
Ultima inquired. She was probably talking about the dead birthday stuff Kigali was working on.
I wouldn't be concerned about that.
Diablo assured me.
It takes a long time, at least 2 hours per Walking Dead created, and more if you are stuffing more energy into it, before that forbidden spell is triggered.
The ceremony had only been going on for a short while. First, we would have to meet with Yuki, then defeat Emperor Rudra, and finally, if we hastened back.
If we're talking about the standard method, Diablo is correct. However, a Lady Kigali is using a kind of alternative.
An alternative? Hold on. Right. Velgrund is assisting the woman.
This seemed to make sense to Diablo. However, nobody else did, and we were running out of time for lengthy explanations.
How much time do we have left, then?
In 2 hours, they could, at worst, produce several Walking Dead.
2 hours, huh? Would that be enough time to fight Emperor Rudra? There's no need to worry about it. All that is left for us to do is that. I turned to look at Laplace.
And you're the most powerful thing she's made thus far, right? Superior to Clayman, at least. You certainly seem stronger than them, despite the others being equipped for strength or whatever.
Well, you see, I was specially made.
Okay, then, my group won't pay attention to Kigali's spell.
Are you certain of that?
Gabble appeared perplexed.
Yeah, consider it, Gabble. Laplace is a formidable foe, but he is not unbeatable. I'm confident that all of you could easily defeat the other two.
I viewed it in that way. Laplace may be trying to hide his power, but he can't hide it from my eyes. In general, I didn't get the impression that he had discovered an ultimate skill. Gabble might struggle, but I believe Zoe is a match for him. So, if Kigali could produce a Walking Dead as good as Laplace, that'd be a pain, but anything less looked manageable to me. We can't just let them grow up since it could make them a threat, but I don't feel as though I had to step in right away.
Better for us if Velgrund is helping to create this spell. If at all possible, poke her so she can't focus on it. If you are unable to, you may choose to leave her. There's no need in kicking up that hornet's nest, I suppose.
After giving each other a quick glance, Gabble and Hakuro nodded in agreement. In addition, just in case,
I want Ultima and Carrera to deal with her if she chooses to turn on you guys or King Gazel.
I reasoned that Ultima and Carrera, the strongest members of my staff, could buy time even from someone like Velgrund. Even if I choose to disregard what happened during Kigali's ritual, the entire army would perish if Velgrund made a move. I gave the order because I had to avoid that.
Oh, I'm glad you trusted in us. Whether she is Sir Veldora's sister or not, I won't spare her any consideration.
Yeah. Once we get a feel for her, we'll see if we can prevail. I'm going to enjoy this as much as I can because I've got a really good winning streak going.
I had the impression that I could rely on Ultima and Carrera for this. I'll just act as though I wasn't aware of the defeat by Zijin. I therefore believed we had a plan, but...
Just a second, please. I believe that Ultima and Carrera won't be sufficient to defeat Lady Velgrund on their own. I'm sorry for being impolite after offering to guide you, but I was pondering if I could also take on her.
Testarossa was currently entering the fray. I found this to be a little problematic. It was a good idea, but if we were going to attack the heart of the imperial capital, I wanted to do it with all the artillery I could muster. Even Guy regarded the emperor as a worthy competitor, and he was being protected by at least 4 single digits. I truly didn't want to lose Testarossa if we were going up against someone so powerful. At the same time, if she could buy us some time with Velgrund, it would be really beneficial, so perhaps I ought to take Gadra.
If you could, let me take her place. I believe it would increase our odds and allow us to buy some time.
That was Zoe who made the suggestion, and it sounded fair. It appeared to be preferable to taking Gadra, at the very least. I had some confidence that we could defeat anyone with Benimaru, Xian, Zoe, and Diablo.
Alright, I'll go with that. Zoe, don't let me down.
Yes, my lord.
Gabble's team's main goal was to gain time and, if possible, get rid of opposing forces, which included Kondo. If things went horribly wrong, the demonesses would step in. I believed that was the best we could manage.
Right, so that's it, then. Again, Gabble, don't let your men die before we return.
Yes, sir.
And so, somewhat hastily, we agreed upon our policy. Vester, who had been glued to the TV the entire time, yelled out in a raspy voice.
Whoa! It appears King Gazel has come.
I turned to look and noticed the Pegasus Knights coming in from above.
Let's get going. Before they sustain harm, meet Gazel's team and explain our strategy to them.
Let me handle it. I, Gabble, swear to you that I will complete this difficult assignment with the highest brilliance.
Great. Alright, everybody, time to get going.
I gave the order, and we subsequently had a very long night. We teleported Gabble's group off, then teamed up with Laplace to travel to the imperial capital. I would begin by assuming human form so that I could handle any situation that arose for us.
Well, here we are. Where is this, exactly? This is our covert base over there.
We arrived here thanks to magic, but Laplace started acting strangely right away. I was already experiencing a terrible premonition at this point. We were in a huge hall when I turned around. There was nothing like it in my own country. It had carpet that looked expensive and was surrounded by elaborately carved columns. It almost gave the impression that I was in a royal audience room in an imperial castle, but something about it didn't seem quite right.
Dude.
Wait, no. When I do this, it always gets me to the right place. It's never happened like this before.
I glared at Laplace, who was obviously in a lot of distress. He didn't appear to be lying, but what the heck was going on if he wasn't? I continued to turn my head before spotting an elevated platform around 50 yards away. It had something that looked like a king's throne on it, so I assumed it was a royal chamber. A stunning blue-haired woman was sitting next to an important-looking person in the chair. Her hair was tied into striking buns that were impossible to miss. It could only have been Velgrund.
Velgrund? Wait a minute, wasn't she just on the battlefield? She can't possibly be here as well.
Although teleportation might have allowed her to arrive in time, it doesn't appear to be the case.
Benimaru had a similar bewildered expression to mine, and Zoe and Shion didn't seem much different.
So, are we surrounded? It seems like a trap.
Diablo informed us of the dreadful news. About the same moment he did, I observed that there were many more people in this chamber, and they all appeared to be very strong.
Laplace, you were attempting to trap us the entire time, damn you.
Zoe wasted little time in confronting our potential traitor, but Laplace was not thinking about him.
That's it for this video, guys. Thank you for always watching my videos and supporting my channel. A big thanks to the AnimeKouhai patrons who made this video possible. Jared Bressler, Chad Vota, I Like Anime, Ray Perez, Chris Guzman, Havox, Speed Saber, James Waters, Arijit Das, Curtis Loban, Judah Herrera, Justa Guy, Misael W. Hernandez, Jason Martin, Zach Rossan, Byron, Donald Williams, Moab A, Day of Light, John M, John Charles, Godman Gaming, Akon Engok, Byakuya327, Markithian Tidwell, Andre L. Hamilton, Adrian, Kumo, Sanketh Chelu, T. Bush, John L., Masiaj Besaraba, Tojam, Edgar Fuentes, JV, Dirty Old Hobo, Gonse Direco, Thomas, Edmund, J., Christ, Juan Ignacio, Joshua Cousins, Jose Hernandez, Vethelny, Lunel Scarlett, Khaled, Christian Deshazer, Cal Robs, Divine C. Harris, Destiny Smith, Panda Cats, Aaron Alarcon, DeAndre Nance, Monty Boy 98, D-Man, Wise Viking, Ruben, Luis Caro, Yuki Iki, Pedro Robles, Chris Jr., Isaac, Koala King 93, Paul DeGrassi, Little 95, Coyote de Peza, Quilly Buckner, Zephyr Alver, Normal Defate, Vicente Baharias, Joshua Andrade, Jaya Keshav, L, Gary Miles, Nobody 0034, Dragon Spawn 666, J Rule, Sayonori, Alfredo Renteria, Liel Tiram, Liron Sangkap, Eric Tass, Christopher Mash, Echo Ski, Foolish Prophets, Ethan Madison, Louis Strutter, Charles Bailey, Funky Junkie 22, Sky T, Diego Ginoza, Nick H, Andre Hamilton, Jason Torres, Sesh, Guy Ansley, Emperor WSA, George Hage, Pratik Bandari, Von Joseph, Deriha Skerte, Jackson Early, Smexy, Carl Stephen Bernadal, Tank Bailey, Gareth Hashimoto, SPT Mighty, Steven Madison, Micah Stern, Homelike Drop, Fazli Topador, Nasir, Mam Wang Min, Vasto Lord, Martin Ramos, Marl Barsha, Ralph Ignacio, Chris Nelson, Karen, Mark Charlie Els, Hansel Ortega, Yellow Wally, Efrain Hernandez, Luca Gaming WTF, William Locke, Jordan Mersha, Wagging Tales, Jay Maxino, Recru17. Thank you so much for helping out. I'll see you guys in the next video.